Oh, hello, and welcome to Adente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. And tonight we have, for anime, some Japanese creepypastas. It doesn't get much more Japanese than Pokemon, with Ash's Coma theory. We're entering May, so we're now doing some Japanese creepypastas or Japanese affiliated creepypastas because anime, it's a shtick. It's a thing that we did.
We did it once, and then we have to do it every year after that.
Yes, it's like Jeffrey.
Unfortunately.
Or SCP-Sember.
Those two I prefer over January for some reason.
So weird.
It's probably just the new year being like, another year. That's probably all it is, and not the fact that I hate Jeff the Killer, but that's unrelated. Please continue.
It's fine. So this one also is on the definitive iceberg of creepypastas that I found a while back, and we've been kind of picking at for creepypastas for the week. So I mean it's a Pokepasta. And it's also a genre of creepypasta that we don't generally tackle. That being like the dark theory subgenre, where like somebody tries to explain some dark theory about a kid show, or what have you. Like how Bikini Bottom in SpongeBob is actually like a nuclear test site, and they're all mutants down there in Bikini Bottom because there's like a bikini atoll. That was used as an atomic bomb set or like a testing site in like the Pacific.
I wasn't aware of that one.
Yeah. So it's like those kind of theory, like those kind of like dark theories, and like, or like how like in Jurassic Park, like they didn't create dinosaurs, they created monsters that were like wearing dinosaur skin. Like that's why the dinosaurs were like strangely clever and like antagonistic toward humans and not just animals, is that they were just like, they weren't creating actual dinosaurs, they were creating genetic abominations.
That is just what the plot of the movies are.
Yeah, so like that theory actually, like, so you're right and you're wrong.
Thanks.
But no, like in the way that, like, because in the early, like, because that theory came out like from like the early days of Jurassic Park and like the books and the movie and the first movies. But then, like, as time went on and we started learning more about dinosaurs, they came to realize a lot more that like the dinosaurs that were in Jurassic Park were nowhere near close to what dinosaurs were in how they would in real lives. So they actually kind of not retconned it, but they kind of like added that into the later movies.
Well, but they explained it in the first movie that they filled it in with frog DNA.
They did. And that's what saved them from like having to like retcon or something like that, because they had already put something into the first movie. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of like Jurassic Park dark like theory crafting and stuff like that. So
I see.
But that's not what we're here for today. We're here for.
Sure you want to keep talking about it?
Yeah, no, we're going to talk about some other monsters. That being Pokemon, with Ash's Coma theory.
Some pocket monsters.
Some pocket monsters, yes. So the original author of this is unknown, but it was originally uploaded on September 12th, 2011, and has been archived on creepypasta.wiki, so you can check it out there. But I suppose we should give our initial recommendations before we dive too far ahead into the long grass. Wow, actually, wow, again, Jurassic Park and Pokemon reference.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Clever girl.
Yeah, clever girl.
Right at that jump set.
yeah, exactly. Arbok is like as an Arbok just like leaps out. Anyway, so I'm going to give this a conditional recommendation.
I'm going to give it a not recommended.
Fair.
I'm going to give it a conditional not recommended.
Okay. I have a feeling yours is going to be like conditional non-recommendation. That's like sort of the like yin to my yang.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I said interesting when you said conditional.
Yeah. But I suppose we should move on ahead. Lest a wild Pokemon appears. So starting with the rundown. So yeah, this is one of those dark theories of Pokemon that tries to interpret aspects of the Pokemon franchise and narratives through a darker lens. This one specifically suggests that everything in Ash's journey after getting struck by lightning while on a bike in the first few episodes of the show is in fact a dreamscape journey in the mind of a coma-bound Ash. All the adventures, companions, both Pokemon and human, opponents, everything he experienced in the show after those events are just psychological manifestations and personal reinterpretations or personal representations of his own psyche as it tries to repair itself and either help or hinder his process in leaving the coma state. After a lengthy explanatory and expository narrative of these situations and like how which different characters mean and what have you for him and such, we get some possible end game scenarios regarding Ash's eventual recovery or escape from the coma. Either he is unplugged from life support after years of a vegetative state and dies knowing it was all but a dream, or he snaps out of the coma after years of being in a vegetative state and through hard work and rehabilitation restarts his journey to be the very best, like no one ever was. Older and wiser now, but in a darker, more realistic version of the world that he dreamed up and lived in throughout the cartoon show prior. Finn. But yeah, that's the basic gist of Ash's coma theory. It's a pretty lengthy theory, all things considered, but like that's the bare bones of it. And I suppose we should move on to everyone tolerates the grammar inquisitions. At this point, I've got one. This one is as follows. When he found that it wasn't something for him, he stopped playing with it. So I think it should be his free side stopped playing with it, not he free side.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I've got for grammar inquisition. So, Mikey, these stands for evil.
Hey, I have one that you clearly missed. However, with an overpowered team, there won't be any challenges or any way to motive him further. So I feel it should be motivate instead of motive.
Ah, yes.
And then I have an it story.
All right. And now, an it story with Mikey. The E stands for evil. Take it away.
It explains the worldwide socialism. He thought up a safe system of government that would run smoothly and keep the world going, allowing his adventures to work like they do. It also explains how a child can go off on his own into the world full of dangerous and untamed animals. It's a subconscious trap to keep him from becoming too aware of his situation. It's a way to encourage him to push forwards. It could explain things like electric Pokemon working as power generators. These are signs that his memory of the old world is slipping more and more as time goes by. It's the "a wizard did it" syndrome. Finn.
Wow. That is very succinct.
The entirety of what he said is the wizard did it syndrome.
Yeah. I mean, that else would be said then, I guess. Really. Wizard did it.
Simpsons did it.
Oh, God damn it.
Nice. But for those unaware, Mikey grabs all the sentences throughout the story that start with words that they probably shouldn't. Its, ands, or buts, strings them together in a sentence with sometimes hilarious results. And he points them out because there's always better words to use.
Indeed. Also, I just like to point out that you used a front butt right there when you started that question, that explanation for the it stories and conjunction stuff.
Yeah, I do that on purpose pretty much every time.
Ah, yes.
Also, it's dialogue.
I know.
As
It's the
we're
way
aware-
the gamer talks.
Dialogue should not count because
No,
people
yes.
talk different.
Exactly. Like, yeah, people throw grammar out the window when they talk.
Mm-hmm.
Although sometimes when it's like caveman speech and like it's clearly like the person's smarter than doing caveman speech, it should probably be fixed. But
Yes.
I digress. Gamer, do you have any grammar inquisition?
Yeah, I got one that both of you guys clearly missed. Ash wants to stay in the coma and keep journeying hands his solved issues over to Professor Oak. So that's how I read it. As he wants to keep journeying hands instead of he wants to keep journeying, comma, hands his solved issues over to Professor Oak.
Yes.
It really needs a comma, in my opinion.
What, you never heard of journey hands?
No, I have not.
It's
Please
like
explain them.
it's like a traveling jazz hands. As you're walking, you start doing jazz hands.
Okay. Yeah, of course. Yeah, then you know what? It could just stay. You're so right.
Yeah.
But that's all I got.
All right. Then I suppose we'll move on to actual thoughts. So I'm going to start with this one here. It also explains how a child can go off on his own into a world full of dangerous and untamed animals. So this is, yeah, in regards to like trying to explain like, oh, like how like Ash's whole like adventure is kind of ridiculous when you think about it. Like they're sending kids off to go hunt down wild and untamed animals.
But like literally every kids show is like that.
I understand that, yes, but like it also and like reading this, I was like, I mean, there's also the post-war theory where it suggests that the reason there are so many children going out to like Pokemon training and such,
Right.
is because it's actually part of a government program to build up a depleted militia force, and because like all the men are dead because of the war.
Yeah.
And that's why there's only like a few like major like adult male figures left that aren't like in like their senior years. And why there's like only really adult women and like children in this Pokemon world is because they are like it's a post-war civilization. So very much how like Japan was, or even like Europe was during after one of the world wars. Like the France was almost entirely depleted of its adult male population because of the war. So it establishes that stuff. Also explains why like that theory also explains why there's like a criminal organization in like Team Rocket, and why they're so prevalent is because like they filling in a power vacuum. There's a ton more to that theory and a bunch of other theories of like that kind of stuff, but that's not why we're here.
Interesting though. Can we go back to that?
Oh yeah, maybe sometime we'll do like a Pokemon theory, like a general Pokemon theory episode. But yeah, this Ash's Coma theory is but one of many dark Pokemon theories.
Yes.
But I'll move on to the next thing I have here. In addition, it explains why every town has the same police officer and every Pokemon Center has the same nurse. Joy and Jenny he knew from his hometown. They act as a safety net or anchor, allowing him to feel safe no matter where he goes. Okay, that in regards to like the Coma theory and like why every time he goes to like a new place there's always like a Jenny and a Joy. That's actually that actually could make some sense.
Yeah, it actually does.
That actually kind of helps the theory. At least it would be a really cool, creepy idea behind the ever-growing population of Jennies and Joys.
Do they not explain that ever?
They do. It's just a very big family.
that all have the same name.
Yeah, they're octuplets and twins and triplets. It's a very shallow. Apparently, the Jenny and Joy, because they're not like Jenny and Joy aren't like related families, but they're two families that just have a very shallow gene pool.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Because I have seen even episodes where like it's there's flashbacks from like a Nurse Joy who's like afraid of a certain type of Pokemon, and it like cuts to like a flashback of her as a kid, and like her mother or her older relatives or siblings who are all just duplicates of Joy.
Wow.
Like they're just like her mom is just Nurse Joy and she's just a younger Nurse Joy.
That's awesome.
It's almost up there with like all Jennies and Joys are cloned.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. But yeah, I'll move on to the next thing I have here. Team Rocket are qualities of himself that Ash deems negative, but is coming to terms with. Jessie and James want to appease Giovanni, Ash's father figure. To achieve this, Jessie will trick the submissive James into doing her bidding. Meowth, especially, wants to appease him because he remembers the good times with Giovanni. Oddly enough, this strikes on yet another dark theory, or just relatively like another Poke theory out there, where it is suggested that Giovanni is in fact Ash's father. Ash was told that his dad was like a Pokemon trainer who went out and never came back. But in truth, it could be that like he actually just went out and became a crime lord. And part of this is apparently because Ash's mom dated Giovanni when they were younger. Apparently,
Oh,
there's actually a reference to that.
shit.
I only learned about that when I like looked up as like is Giovanni Ash's father? Like on Google, and it came up with like it's like this theory is like proposed, although it has been like debated and like debunked a couple of times. Though it stems from the fact that yes, like apparently like the character or the mom of Ash's mom apparently did have a relations with Giovanni when they were younger before he became the crime lord.
Wow.
So I was like, what? Yeah, and you get a little bit more of that in certain other like there's actually an anime that's way closer to the game where the character is actually named Red. And it's actually much more in line with like how the game went versus like how the show kind of like started straying away from like how the games work a bit, but like in favor of more of just like the adventuring type of anime, right? And like how like Ash always like gives away his Pokemon and what have you. Whereas this one, it was actually more about like the trainer Red, like getting his Pokemon and fighting the gym leaders and dealing with the Elite Four. Like it actually went through the entire like storyline of the game.
Cool.
Yeah.
So they don't have to play the game anymore.
Yeah.
How dare they?
Yeah. Well, it's a very short anime. It's like only like a couple of episodes. It was like a mini series or an OVA, but I digress. I'll move on to the next thing I have here. The narrator is Ash's higher mind, recapping and explaining the progress he's made, and the tribulations he will face, allowing insight into how to best awaken him. Wow, you were even including the show's narrator as part of the meta-narrative theory that digs into the person's psyche while they're in a coma. Love it. I suppose this is also a good time to bring up that this theory brings in a ton of psychoanalytical jargon and material to explain what various characters mean inside Ash's head. I'm only a little familiar with some of these terms and mechanisms brought up, but I am by no means an expert of this kind of subject. Won't even pretend to be a novice of it. I just know what I've heard on like various psych shows and media, and what I've heard in passing and some of that. I think I took a psychology class like in college. That's it.
Yeah. It's mostly just jargon to make you think that it's believable.
Yeah, and like yeah, exactly.
But it's not tech related.
it's psych babble, yeah. And like it sounds interesting though, like in sort of the same way that like Inception is an interesting idea and concept that deals with like like mental faculties and like using like the dreamscape logic and stuff. But yeah, I no idea if like how much of this has merit, like the actual psychological terms or the psyche terms and such. But it is interesting to read while I was reading this. And then my next thing here, you may recall that early in the show there were animals and references to animals. For example, the fish in the aquarium at Cerulean City Gym, or the Pokedex listing Pikachu as a rat-like Pokemon. These animals don't matter to Ash's psyche, so they don't come into play much. If Ash loved puppies, everything would be about different breeds of dogs and a dog fighting circuit. But as the series goes on, you see fewer realistic animals and more Pokemon. This could be a sign of Ash's mind deteriorating. I was like, wait, so is this implying that the world of Pokemon is all in Ash's head? Or because I only asked this because earlier it was referencing like the lightning blast and the coma stuff, or like and the coma, and seemed to like imply that Ash was still in the show's Pokemon world then as well. But like there's reference, but then like now we're getting this thing where it's like referencing animals. So like, wait.
Yeah, no, he's in the Pokemon universe, and then when he exits the coma at the end, he's still in the Pokemon universe. It's just it's not the same Pokemon universe as what was in his dream.
True. Though
it was just like he's in the normal world and he's dreaming up all this weird stuff.
Yeah, that's what I thought initially, but yeah.
It explains that you get a couple episodes of the show, which means he's in the Pokemon universe before he gets hit by lightning, and everything after that is he's in a coma, which means that stuff at the beginning is legit the universe he's in. Yeah.
And I do like the explanation that like as his mind, like, because it's just a mind of a child, so like he starts kind of Flintstonesing the world a little bit around him, like so that Pokemon are like taking up things of like technology. Like that was kind of fun, like to explain like how like in the Pokemon world they do kind of use Pokemon sometimes as like backup generators or what
for everything. Hell, they use it for keys.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, because there's a fairy type Pokemon now that has keys. Although that is later.
Not has keys, Pokemon. Is keys.
Yeah, is keys. Yes.
And then there's Vanillish, which is ice cream.
Yeah.
Is that made from Miltank?
I do not know. I wonder if it's like the ghost of like it's
dead Miltanks.
Oh God. No, I was thinking it's actually this. I wouldn't put it past Pokemon to have it like Vanillish is actually a ghost type Pokemon. It is the spirit of a dead child who, while eating ice cream from an ice cream truck, went into the road and got hit by a car.
Yeah, that's very on point. That's Pokemon.
Yeah, given the creepy trivia, again, that's one of the reasons I love Pokemon is like so much, and like why I've like not kept up on it, but like I like occasionally like browse like some of the trivia stuff for different ones, is because they just have such fucked up material on already without even these dark theories that fans make.
Yes.
But I was actually back to this point here. Also at the end of the story, it also like has a possible future for Ash where he wakes up out from the coma and after like getting better, goes back out on his own Pokemon journey, inciting that he is actually back into the Pokemon world, though it's a lot more realistic than he remembers. Like, again, probably that like the technology out there is a little bit more like realistic compared to like being kind of Flintstonesy with like using Pokemon as part of the technology. Or how like Pokemon and people die, which is something that doesn't happen a lot in the show.
At the end, I thought Ash died in this creepypasta.
In this creepypasta, he is short. At the end, is a Schrodinger's Ash. In that it proposes two endings for Ash. One where his mom, after years of like paying for her son to be kept on life support, realizes he's not getting any better and decides to unplug him, and that's when he dies. And the other one is, but then it immediately shifts gears and switches to a much more bittersweet good ending, where like he does wake up eventually, and after years or after some time of like healing and rehabilitation, sets out again.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so again, this thing of like it just brought up the whole idea of like, yeah, like how there were animals in the early part of the show, and then as the show went on, they started like shifting gears. Like, no, there are no animals in Pokemon. They're all Pokemon. Because yeah, I do recall there being like there being fish that weren't like Pokemon fish in there. Which again, it goes into a dark territory because like, is everybody eating tofu? What if there's a tofu Pokemon? Like, what if there's a soy Pokemon? Are they grinding up soy Pokemon to make tofu?
Maybe they are.
Because that was the thing that like early on, like they did also start eating like there was a lot of tofu being eaten, amidst like rice and stuff like that. But like, yeah, you're in a world where like anything can be semi sentient or like at least semi intelligent as a Pokemon, and so like the ethics of eating things comes into play, and how animals comes to play. But the show is a kid's show, so it doesn't like tackle any of that because like, don't worry about it. Don't think about it too hard. It's a kid show. But people, again, that's where these theories come from. These dark theories is like people thinking of getting older and thinking about that kind of stuff. Poking holes in the plot of Pokemon. But I digress. I'll move on. The clone. So this is in regards to like the clones from the first movie specifically. So the clones didn't play by the rules of this world. They didn't use any special attacks or moves. They just beat down their counterparts through brute strength. So the treatment was working. And this is like in regards that the clones in that movie were actually like part of like an electroshock treatment. Try and bring Ash out of the coma. And actually,
where the Pikachu's slapping the shit.
Yeah, you just slapping each other. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And actually, the more I like, I was like, I think I don't actually think. Yeah, I think this theory actually kind of proposed like, yeah, why did those Pokemon not use their powers? They just fought each other, like they brawled. And I think maybe you could maybe theorize that like they were clones, so they didn't start like because they were clones, they were like a blank slate. They didn't start with any of their special moves.
All they had was tackle.
Yeah, growl and tackle.
Yeah.
So like yeah, like that's like part of the cloning process. But then like that doesn't really. I guess. Well, then again, even Mewtwo, Mewtwo is like the oldest clone, and he was like they were training him after the fact. So yeah, like he actually would have developed powers. It's just because all those clones in the movie were like fresh. They didn't have any moves. They didn't have any experience.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. It actually posed something that like I hadn't thought about in like decades about that movie. But I'll move on to the next thing I have. Actually, this is getting close to the end, and I think this is my last quote and comments. Okay, so this is in regards to like this is the bittersweet ending, like where he does wake up and like does kind of restart his journey years later. Just like last time, he's late getting to Professor Oak's laboratory. When there's only one Pokemon left, he suddenly recalls all his memories of his, in quotes, life, and realizes all his friends are gone forever. As he sets out with his new companion, he finds the world is darker than he imagined, more real, in quotes. Pokemon and people die. He, too, has aged. He vows to become a Pokemon master, or the Pokemon master he dreamed he was. He vows to himself, he vows to them, in quotes. And then one final line, I will be the very best. And I was like, whoa, this whole ending section, including the other ending we get where like he's just like unplugged because he's not waking up, was really a kind of a roller coaster here. Like we get the sad, tragic, like dark end, like the bad end. The little bit more of the real life kind of like medical ending here, where like he's not waking up from this coma, and a hard choice has to be made of like euthanizing him, basically. And then we get the like, but what if he did wake up? And we get this kind of bittersweet good ending. And I kind of like it. Like, if only because the subject and narrative up to the end was very tragic and dark in a realistic, like medical horror sort of way. And the fact that there's a little glimmer of light at the end was a bit of welcome. for the theory. Like, I almost wonder, like, probably would have been even darker if like this theory had been like this ending, like the bittersweet good ending of him waking up had been proposed first, and then it's like, but what? Let's cut back to realities, and like, what if he doesn't wake up? And then it goes to the part where like he gets unplugged and dies, as his dream world just kind of collapses in on itself. I think that would have been darker, like way darker.
Absolutely.
But I kind of like this version because it yes, horror is generally supposed to have like a dark end, and like you're supposed to feel like creeped out and like icky sometimes about it. But like it's also good to sometimes to have a horror story that does end kind of in a lighter note, even with a bittersweet ending, which this also still offers, because like yes, he's getting a second chance, but he's also coming to realization that like the world that he dreamed up and lived in for years is not the way the world works, and he's got to now tackle that darker, more realistic world. So yeah, all that to say, I kind of did dig the ending after like reading the whole thing, and like, or at least the possible outcome of Ash's future in this theory. So that's all I've got for actual thoughts until we do final thoughts. So, Mikey, these stands for evil.
All right. Well, starting at the end, like I normally do, because it's sort of more with your notes.
Like an Ekans biting its own tail.
Nice.
So when he wakes up from the coma, and he's still in the Pokemon universe, except everything that you know about the Pokemon universe is wrong, and Pokemon die just like everything else. It wasn't that big of a revelation for me, and it actually made me think of more the Pokemon Prospectors game that we tried to play, which was a more gritty Pokemon game.
Oh god, one day I might actually post those on One Less Die, because like those were really like that's kind of what this like. It's sort of the world that like that Ash wakes up to.
Yeah,
Very like we actually treated it more realistic, like Pokemon more realistically, or kind of like Pal World a little bit. Though even in Pal World, like there's not like they die, but like they don't die like in graphic ways. They die in like kind of cutesy ways. Like, oh no, they're fainted and they'll despawn. It's like, no, we're still ripping their meat from their bones, in a sense.
Yeah. So, and I was half hoping that he would wake up in our world.
Yeah.
And Digimon are the champions.
Oh
wow!
So you
so rude.
you do quote Digimon. Did you know there is? I haven't seen the full like. I don't know if it's. I think it's part of one of the movies, like one of the later movies. But there was like a movie where like Ash wakes up. I think it had to do with like the some of the reality bending Pokemon. But Ash, like in that movie, there are some scenes where he wakes up in a sepia tone version of Tokyo, in a world where it's our world, where like there are no Pokemon, or they're just a show and they're just a franchise. And he's like in class and he looks outside expecting to see Ho-Oh, that big special golden Pokemon that he saw in the early episodes and stuff, and that he was kind of like after through the show. But then he looks up and it realizes the Ho-Oh he was expecting to see up in the sky is just like a jetliner, like passing by. And like it's very like it gets very kind of like dark in its own way, because it's him coming to the realization that like he's no longer in the Pokemon world, and he's like in this like dark realistic reality where like Pokemon are just like there are no Pokemon, there's just animals and people and technology. Like it's our world basically he woke up in. And I don't know how that sequence ends. I don't know if I assume he goes back to his world or he snaps
or something.
or yeah, it was some kind of a dream sequence or a vision of like another reality without Pokemon. But it was like it's very similar to what like Mikey's kind of bringing up, aside from like the burn about like, oh, Digimon are the champions. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep.
Continuing on. So I'm going to mention this. I was never a fan of the Pokemon TV show.
How dare I've barely seen it myself.
Yeah,
And
it's mainly because I didn't get the channel that aired the episodes when it was originally airing,
That'll do it.
and I never really I've watched maybe 2 episodes here or there, but
Same.
nothing really got me. Like now, I played the first games to death,
Yeah.
but as far as the TV show goes, it's got nothing for me.
Fair.
Um,
See, I the exact opposite. I did like watch the show like vehemently as a kid, and got pretty. I think I got far into like I think the third or fourth series before I got like old enough that like it wasn't cool to watch Pokemon anymore. So like well past high school or like into high school basically, and then that's where I kind of started stopping.
You
But
started
I would
stopping.
Well, yeah, I stopped at I started fading from or like started like kind of weaning myself off the show.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah. And like I still kept in tabs with like the games and stuff like that, but yeah, like yeah, I think that's why I figured like that was probably why like there's a dissenting view here is because a dissenting opinion because like we now have somebody on this show that didn't really grow up with the TV show or didn't really get it. Or didn't get it, but like didn't grow up with it. Whereas somebody who did grow up with it, so I'm really glad that we actually did have that. We do have that that difference of opinion or difference of lived in experience.
All right, and then my next actual thought here. So I felt that the explanations and psychobabble just kept going on and on and on.
Yeah.
To the point where I didn't think it would end because they started labeling Pokemon
Oh no.
and saying what they resemble to Ash. And it's like, okay, are they going to go through all 151 of the original Pokemon and what they
God.
mean to Ash? Like,
No, they're gonna go through every single current Pokemon, not
Yeah.
just the original.
All 1,000. Well, yeah. All 1,000. Despite the fact that this theory and like story came out well before like there was even like I think 350. But
yeah. So I came up with a couple.
oh no.
So here we have Scyther, which represents Ash's need for more edge.
His edgelord phase.
And here we see the legendary birds, Articuno, Zapdos, Moltres. They represent Ash's mathematical ability. Sadly, he can only count to 3.
Okay. Interesting.
Arctic Uno,
Yes.
Zapdos, and Moltres. Because dos means 2.
He only got so far in that class, like
Yeah, he was just
He started
starting
grade
out.
9 and got out.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's pretty awesome. Also, just pokes at like the fact that the legendary birds in America in the anglicized version were named like Uno dos tres with a element themed word in front.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's all you need.
That's pretty excellent. Yeah, I mean that's Pokemon naming 101, really.
Yeah.
Or 1, 2, 3, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. And then my next actual thought here is for me, I need some transitions because we go from psychobabble to the hospital.
Yeah.
And for me, that was a little jarring.
Yeah, it kind of like the story for most of it feels like almost like an essay,
Yeah.
or like a thesis, and then we cut away to like a narrative at the end.
Yeah.
Like an actual like story narrative at the end of like him. Again, the 2 possible options or possible endings for Ash, but yeah.
Yeah. So that's the end of my actual thoughts.
Okay. No, I do agree. Like I guess, do you propose like a separating line, like a horizontal line, or like?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
something to, you know, differentiate between the psychobabble of the dream world and the waking world.
Yeah.
Um, so a horizontal line would fix that.
Yeah.
Um,
Or some kind of like segueing line, I guess. Like it's like,
yeah.
well, now that we've gone into like all the psychological analysis, let's take a look at some possible futures for young Ash here.
Like titled as you just said it, basically by
Yeah.
saying like that was this section. Now we're going into this section. It would be a lot clearer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, if that's all you've got, I guess we'll move on to Gamer in Yellow.
I don't know. I don't really have much left to talk about because you guys basically touched on aspects that I was going to talk about anyway. So I'll just go with the final thoughts.
Okay. Yeah, I suppose there's our segue into final thoughts.
There you go.
So yeah, I said I was going to conditionally recommend this. So look, if you're not familiar with the show of Pokemon, if you didn't like grow up with Pokemon like as a like the TV show specifically, especially those early seasons and the movies, let alone Pokemon media in general, like if that's not your bag, this probably isn't for you. But if you are a fan of the show and like Ash's journey and what have you, this is an interesting early speculative piece of one of the many dark theories that seem to propagate around Pokemon as a franchise. It is now a little likely a product of its time, with especially now that Ash has actually passed on the mantle to a new trainer protagonist in the series. Like he's no longer the character. He's no longer shown in the show. Like he's moved. They've moved on to a new character in the series. So it is very much like a product of like the 90s and early 2000s kind of like Pokemon craze. This whole theory and stuff like that. But I could see this striking home for a lot of folks back in the day, and like who were like reading this when it was first posted. And people like it would probably got some people thinking, especially since like they were probably younger back then. So like this, for better or worse, this was probably like maybe one of their first kind of ways into like deeper thinking on like the media they're consuming. At least it's a thinking piece in a way. And a lot of these dark theories tend to try to do that, and some just try to be like so dark. um, but yeah, it's just like as far as a theory from back then of like back before like before the end of Ash's journey, much more recently. As somebody who's a fan of Pokemon, I could see like recommending this to somebody who was also a fan of the Pokemon show, like the early show. I was like, hey man, if you like that show, like, and you like those some like dark, grittier stuff, like here, check out this theory. Like it's kind of it kind of might make you think a little bit. I'm not saying like this is like I don't even believe this at all, like this theory, because like there's definitely plot holes and there's definitely holes in it, but it is just sort of like a speculative like what if sort of story. So, but again, if you're not into Pokemon, if you don't have any like kind of experience with the early show and the movies, this probably won't be for you. So that's why I conditionally recommend it. Is I'd recommend it to people who are Pokemon fans. Predominantly the show, maybe not so much the games, but yeah,
It doesn't really give you much context for the stuff that's being spoken about in the show.
yeah, it's predominantly about the show, like in those early seasons. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, that's my recommendation. So, Mikey.
All right. Well, for me, I feel there's way too much psychobabble to the point where I was being bored to death.
It's like you were actually reading an actual psych essay.
Yeah, like that's the thing. It came off as an essay that somebody was doing, and it just they kept going over the same things but slightly differently, and it seemed like they're more working on character count than being overly interesting.
Yeah.
Which is a thing that happens with essays because you have to reach a certain amount of words.
I wonder if this maybe did start off as somebody's like essay and then they decided to post it online.
Possible.
Yeah, it is very possible.
Yeah,
I definitely recall essays I did in college that were not like this. Like I didn't use the subject, but like definitely in the same kind of vein. So
yeah, and unfortunately, most of it can be summed up as a coma is a coma, and the brain works in mysterious ways.
Yeah. I do want to. One thing I do want to bring up. I know this is your final thoughts, but sorry. This also kind of did remind me of a show called The Odyssey, where it does explore like a kid's like kind of dreamscape while they're in a coma. Like the whole show is basically like you're aware that the kid is in a coma from like episode 1, because like you see the inciting incident, and then it occasionally like bows out of his dreamscape and into the hospital room or like into the daily lives of his friends and family who are like coping with him being in a coma. But like for the parts where the bulk of it where he's actually in his dreamscape, it's like again like characters. The characters in his dreamscape are friends and family, and even like just people he saw faces of in the world that he's created characters from and stuff. And it kind of reminded me of that old show, and it was called The Odyssey. So in a way, this is like Ash's Odyssey. But like I agree. Like when I was reading this, I was actually kind of surprised it was like as many pages of content as it was, because usually the dark theories do not go this long or do not go this lengthy. So,
and then like I mentioned before, the ending. I went with him waking up because it's the nicer ending. But again, he is waking up in the Pokemon universe
when he should have woke
our
up in
world.
Yeah.
So it didn't incite any amount of creep factor for me whatsoever.
Yeah, that would add more like to like a real world medical horror. Is like a kid who actually woke up into our world, thinking that like Pokemon were real, and then realizing that the world does not have that whimsy that he envisioned for years.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would be kind of like the horror of it, is like basically having your childhood ripped away from you, because this kid basically got his childhood ripped away from him. Would have gotten his childhood ripped away from him in several different ways. Like physically, he was in this coma for his childhood, and when he snapped out of the coma, or when he woke from the coma, the world that he had created for himself in that whimsical world is no longer there and doesn't exist. So, like that would have been just as heartbreaking.
Yeah. So, as it stands, I'm still not going to recommend this.
Fair. Gamer.
Well, first off, one thing I forgot to mention. You've been calling this Ash's Coma theory repeatedly, even before we brought it up. It's really not. It's just called Ash's Coma. It is a theory.
When you look up Ash's Coma, so I saw Ash's Coma theory on the iceberg, and when you look that up, when that's where this comes to. So it is, it's called Ash's Coma, which is like a creepypasta, but it is a theory pasta basically. Yeah.
Yeah. And at the top of the creepypasta, it says Pokemon Theory Historical Archive.
Yeah, but
it has a couple of names, and it probably had like theory in it at one point, and that's where that came from. But yeah.
Anyway, so on to final recommendations. Like for me, as I kind of chimed in before, I've seen like maybe 2 or 3 episodes of the anime back in '98 or '99 or whatever the hell I watched it. I also have a weak knowledge of the Pokemon games because I didn't really play them that much. So like with that knowledge or lack thereof, I strongly don't recommend reading past the 5th paragraph, because like at that point you get it. Like you get the story. You don't really need to read further because it just kind of goes on saying the same things.
It does reference a bunch of stuff like in the show. So if you didn't watch the show, like you may not get some of that context.
Hence why I'm not recommending it to someone who hasn't seen the show, because you'll be like me and you'll be like, what the fuck is this? Like, because further reading felt like being stuck in a conversation with someone about a topic you know nothing about, but you have no way to get out of the conversation. Like I was a prisoner reading this one, unfortunately. That being said, for someone who's watched the anime in its entirety, I would probably recommend this to them like fully, because they'll get it. They'll understand all the references. They won't have to be like me, where I have to Google every single person that's mentioned, because like I need to understand, at least see the image of them, so I kind of know who the hell they're talking about. Because I knew nothing going in. So like, for someone that knows Pokemon, sure, yeah, go for it. But for me, the story wasn't written for me. There was very little context that I could follow without having to Google everything. So, like, if it was written to give more context to someone that doesn't understand all this, I would raise my overall recommendation higher. But at the end of the day, odds are you're only reading this one of two reasons. One, you love the Pokemon anime, or two, you are doing a podcast and you have to read this for the podcast.
Your friend is forcing you to read the story.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also, your recommendation feels awfully like glass half empty, half full compared to mine. like mine could go either. Like could be a conditional non-recommendation as well. In that, like, I don't recommend this to anybody who doesn't like Pokemon, but for somebody who does love Pokemon, maybe check this out. I'm just saying.
Am I not allowed to have similar opinions to yours?
No. I'm. I just find I'm not like making fun or like poking at it, or I'm just finding it funny that like your conditional non-recommendation and me, I have a conditional recommendation, but we're both saying basically the same thing.
Yeah, but I'm just way harsher with it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you've never seen the Pokemon anime, you will not understand this. So do not read this.
Yeah.
This is not written for you.
Yeah.
If you've seen the entirety of the anime, go for it. It's absolutely written for you.
Yeah.
I'm very binary on this one.
Fair. Again, to be fair, like that is honestly my recommendation as well. Like, you're probably not going to enjoy this if you don't know anything about Pokemon. So don't check it out. But like, if you do, check it out.
Yeah. If you know like a little bit about Pokemon and you're interested in what the Coma theory is all about, just read the first 5 paragraphs and move on.
Yeah.
That's the theory.
Note my rundown was like just pan past all like the 5 to 6 pages that go into different what characters mean in his psyche and such.
That being said, I appreciate the amount of depth.
Yeah, that's true.
Like picking at all these different characters and explaining why this works this way, why that works that way. Like, I truly appreciate that. I just don't understand it. But I see you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's about it.
All right. So that'll do it. So a conditional recommendation, a conditional non-recommendation, and just a plain non-recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
So take with that what you will. That has been this week's episode. If you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted. Mikey and I are on Blue Sky. Mikey is at the E Stands for Evil, and I'm at Review Cultist. You can also send us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. Where you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas, SCPs, spooky things. You creep it, we'll peep it.
Yeah!
And if you'd like to help support our show financially, you can go to Patreon. We have special episodes, early access, and extra content. To all our patrons that support the show, thank you immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay, and as always, we very much appreciate that. And to our listeners and the authors of these stories, thank you immensely. Because without your listenership, it'd be like screaming into the void of a dying, depleted coma patient and their mindscape. And if you didn't write these stories and post them online for people to enjoy, we really wouldn't have much of a show. So thank you. Also, now's a good time to bring up that we are part of a network, Crit in the Night, a actual play and creepypasta podcast network, where you can check out Al Dente Rigor Mortis, our sister podcast, One Less Die, and our cousin podcasts, The Role Playing Exchange, and soon to be Technical Difficulties. So, yeah. That sounded like so far away. It sounded like so far away too. It was like, yeah.
I actually moved the mic way far away from my head that time.
Did not hear it at all.
Oh, damn it.
All I heard was like some static, and then then you like the sound of you, like, guess putting your headphone back on or whatever.
Shite. It's fine.
Yeah. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, D stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigor Mortis. Sleep well.